The first match was the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And that featured Bianca versus Raquel versus Tiffany versus Liv versus Naomi versus Becky. And Brian, let me ask you a question before we talk about this.
Sound like pop stars, yeah?
You know, sometimes they have classic movies that are just great movies, 4-star movies, and they're well thought of and they stand the test of time, right? And people watch them generation after generation. And sometimes they even remake those movies for a more modern audience. You've seen remakes before of classic movies.
It's a hit or miss, but mostly miss.
Well, would you watch a rotten remake of a classic movie before you watched the original for the first time? Or wouldn't that spoil the original for you because you'd seen the substandard version before you'd seen the real deal? Well, let me just say this. To avoid not enjoying the men's Elimination Chamber match with 6 of the biggest individual stars in the company battling for a chance to face one of the world champions on one of the main events of one of the nights of WrestleMania, I didn't want to watch the goddamn women do it first, 2 hours beforehand. Because anything that Liv Morgan is in and emerges unharmed from cannot be dangerous in any way.
When did she become the one you hate the most? This all of a sudden emerged that you just have a problem with her.
Because it's the most preposterous. It's the most preposterous that this little, tiny, minute, microscopic, girly little girl is doing all these fucking ridiculously dangerous, supposedly dangerous and deadly and body-breaking things and just walking right away from it. It exposes the whole goddamn deal for everybody.
Farmer Burns was skinny.
Yeah, Farmer Burns was skinny, but his weight was distributed a little differently than Liv Morgan's.
So you didn't watch the women's elimination match?
No, I can't. No.
It was better than the men's. It was better than the men's.
But no, it can't be, because that just means that they're doing obviously fake shit to each other in a more accomplished manner than the men.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to see fucking girls in cages and girls doing hardcore garbage matches and girls whacking each other with goddamn chairs and blunt instruments, because that just calls attention to the fact it's phony when the guys do it, and the guys are the ones drawing the fucking money.
Well, the girls are the ones doing the moonsaults.
Well, and they can keep those. I can buy that a young lady of these particular people's stature can do gymnastics, not fight with goddamn martial arts weapons until one's head should be caved in.
Is part of the problem, though, even if you get past your issues in general with this match being there and why you didn't watch it, I watched it, and I enjoyed it more than the men's match. Is that a separate problem altogether? The idea that your audience would watch that match and enjoy it more than the match that leads to a main event match at WrestleMania?
Yes. Yes. And that's why I don't enjoy it, because I don't look at it from an audience standpoint. I look at it from a professional standpoint and from a promoter's standpoint. And from a guy's talent standpoint. If you have women, I'm sorry, young women of, in most cases, very frail body weight, Tiffany Stratton,
She's
Becky
not
Lynch.
Frail.
Becky Lynch she's 140 pounds. Becky Lynch is 120 pounds. She can talk. But you put them in cages and elimination chambers and furniture matches. It's ridiculous. If it doesn't kill them, it's phony. And the guys have made sure to let everybody know that it's phony too. They do too much of it, as we'll get to when we talk about AEW. And those idiots and their suicidal tendencies. But again, no, you've got 6 of the top stars in the company going for a shot at the world title in the main event at WrestleMania, so you put their exact same gimmick match on earlier with girls. Sorry. And I will say that one thing that it was proven, they are making new fans, because if you gave a wrestling fan from 40 years ago or 30 years ago or 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, a 33-minute girls match when there's only 4 matches on the card, the fans would have burned the arena to the ground. Would they not?
Well, that's where we are today. We've evolved.
Yeah.
Now they could have the match and fans will either enjoy it or sit there politely and not move.
Yeah, we're not walk or not throw shit at the ring. We're not set the seats on fire.
They won't even blink, it appears at times.
And basically, this match, the bell rang to start it 16 minutes into the show, and they were done at 49 minutes into the show. I started keeping track because the matches were longer than they have a roster of 100 fucking people. And they have an unlimited amount of money, not because Tony and his rich father, but because they're making billions and they're worth billions. Fly a few extra people to goddamn Australia. They had 4 matches on the card. They were all half an hour long or close to or over. And then there'd be stretches of 20 and 30 minutes in between matches where you got Australian tourism videos and fucking packages and commercials and goddamn gaga and entrances and flashy drone shots. And people are up at 6:30 in the morning trying to get through this live. Fucking hell. So anyway.
Perhaps the alcohol helped.
I can't see how at that time of day or morning or night or whatever that alcohol would help you stay awake. But that was the first match.
Good match.
And
Good
Becky
match.
won because we want to see Becky and Rhea. I want to see the top girls in major matches that can actually perform. I don't want to see a fucking cast of goddamn chorus girls out there looking like deer on ice doing shit that guys ought to be doing.
Well, good match. Tiffany Stratton looked really good in there. And
in where? What are you insinuating?
No, she was doing good. She did a moonsault at one point. Well, apparently, Raquel had some kind of flare-up of I think a skin condition. That's why she looked a little out of sorts. But she, like a true professional, toughed it out and competed. And
Naomi looked a little green around the gills, too.
You know, it sucks when she can't do her glow-in-the-dark dancing.
Because it was daylight.
Trancing thing, yeah. Beautiful sunset during the next match, though. But
that's all I was watching during the next match was the sunset.
I guess the question is, if you look at where things are, and you have someone like Rhea Ripley, who is, in my eyes, for what I enjoy, the best there's ever been. As far as a women's wrestler. She gets it. And even some of the matches that aren't like classics, what she does in them draws you in. She's really good. At the same time, you have a lot of people that are okay. You have some that are over. But if there are matches where the crowd is silent, it's typically the women's matches for both companies. A whole different problem in AEW. But WWE has at least professional women, and Maxine Dupree out there doing her thing. But it's almost like the Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano being the entire division for a year and a half or whatever. That's too small, but maybe everything else is too big. Like if you have the best, like a Rhea Ripley, and you have a Bianca Belair, who in my eyes is right up there, just really, really great. Like you want them to have people to feud with, but you don't need just tons of people running around if they're not over. Then you're trying to stack a division that isn't over, but there are some people in it that are. I don't know. I wonder about these things.
Yes, it keeps you up at night, I can tell. Well, anyway, so Becky's on to WrestleMania to wrestle the winner, wrestle at WrestleMania to wrestle the winner of the main event tonight with Rhea Ripley and Refrigerator Jax, which is going to go on last, and more on that later.